Well, that was fun. It was so enjoyable to watch how dance evolves over the years, and it was especially fun to watch the different animal steps. I really like that turkey trot. We've got some questions from our studio audience, but first I have a question for Nancy and Jeff, and that is, tell us which are your favorite dances and why?
You go first.
I'd have to answer that with I have two favorite dances. One, of course, is the tango. Ragtime era or even modern tango, I love it because it has so much emotion, so much drama, and the steps are just so interesting to do. But my other favorite is Renaissance dance, especially Italian 16th century. I love that time period. I love all the dances. They're very hard to do. It makes me think about things, and the music is wonderful. So they're my two favorites.
I'm going to do the same thing. The tango is definitely my favorite because it gives you that emotional intensity. And I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing better than dancing with someone you love. So that really actually carries that emotion for both of us. But I guess my other favorite dance is one I mentioned a little bit earlier called the allemande, which is lots of arm movements, lots of close moves and a continuous beat, and it's like a little bit of a chase, so it reminds me of the tango a little.
Would you please explain the process of the dance card, and did it indicate any type of a courtship?
What a good question.
Yeah.
I think you can take that one.
And you'll probably add on.
Yes, indeed.
All right. A dance card was used, especially in the Victorian times, but we have them also in the 20th century, early 20th century. But there'd be normally 23 dances. The dance titles would be on the side with blank spaces on the opposite side so that only gentlemen could ask ladies to dance. And he would bow to her, ask her if she would have this next waltz with him, and if she was agreeable to that prospect, she would put his name on her dance card next to the waltz, and he would put her name next to the waltz on his dance card. That's always hard to say. So that when the next waltz was called, say it was number 7, he would then go and collect her and use the dance card that way. We really enjoy using dance cards. We've done several Victorian balls as master of ceremonies and as dance master. And it's very civilized because you know what's coming up, you know who you're going to be dancing with, and as a floor manager, you can see who has not had dance partners so that you can help them take partners and make sure that they get to dance for the night. I'm going to start a t-shirt campaign of starting dance cards up again.
Did it indicate any type of a courtship, though?
The ball could be used to initiate or continue a courtship, but there was nothing actually on the dance card that said this is a courtship dance or anything like that, because there were very strict rules in the ballroom. And if you were an engaged couple, the rule basically was only dance one dance together and then share yourselves around, otherwise it's impolite. And the same for a husband and wife. They would actually share themselves around, because in this particular time period, the emphasis was on me making sure you had a good time rather than thinking about having a good time for myself. And of course, if I give you a good time, I'm going to be having a good time too.
How did you become experts in the history of social dance? And do you consider yourselves primarily historians or primarily dancers?
Oh boy. With me, when I was a child, I always loved history. I was sort of the geek of all my classmates because I just adored history. And what really got me started was I saw a PBS Masterpiece Theater program, maybe some of you watched it in the 70s, called The First Churchills. And it was about 17th century England and the court of Charles II. And in one of the episodes, they danced a 17th century couple dances, you know, the social dances and the theatrical dances. And when I was watching it, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to do that. There was something that really spoke to me. So when I went to college, I majored, you know, not only in dance, but dance history. And the more I learned about it, the more I just wanted to absorb more, because I was making all these wonderful connections. So to answer your question, am I more of a dancer or more of an historian? Some days I want to say one and some days I want to say the other, especially if I have my nose stuck in all these books on my desk. But when I go out to dance them, to recreate them, then I guess I do feel like a dancer as well. But the thing that really gives me a great joy is to recreate dances, even from 500 years ago, to put them to life, bring them out, dust them off, and show people how people moved back then. And I'm hoping, if the program's something like this, it brings us a little bit closer to our ancestors, maybe to our grandparents, our great-parents, and it helps to make history a little bit more interesting for people.
And the important thing about that question is, how do you balance out history or dance? Dance doesn't happen outside of history. So what we try to do is always put a dance into context, and that's what our readings are intended to do, so that you get a complete picture of what was going on at the particular time, the politics of the dance. I mean, for example, in the Netherlands during the Reformation, a law was passed in Leiden that no one was actually allowed to dance because it was such a Reformation era. So manners, etiquette, law, politics, health, all of those things surround a dance. The fashion, manners, all of those kinds of things. So I guess to really answer your question is, we prefer to think of it as a holistic, integrated dance history.
How do you account for the longevity of some dances that were extremely popular, like the Charleston and the Peabody, although Charleston, South Carolina does not take credit for it, very popular, and then they died suddenly, whereas the dances that you did, the waltz, the polka, the tango, the foxtrot, are still very vibrant today. Do you have anything to say on that?
I think because, I'll take the waltz first. I think the waltz lasted so long and is still so popular today, mainly because of the music. The music is so beautiful, and when you hear a waltz, you sort of dance in your head. It's on the radio, you just want to sort of waltz with it. Plus, it's deemed as a very romantic dance, and I think romance will always make something last a long time. So you have beautiful music, it seems romantic, and it's whirling around, it seems like a fairy tale kind of thing. So with all those things, I think that helps to create a longevity of a dance.
So I think it's like anything in fashion. Fashion in the music changes, dances die. Some actually evolve into dance competitions, because all of our modern ballroom has actually gone into the dance competitions, and less people are actually doing the dance, they're watching it more. So our encouragement to everybody is get out there and dance, don't let it die.
Nancy and Jeff, we have learned so much from you. Before we close the program, what final thoughts would you like to share with us?
My final thought to everyone is that if you've ever even had an inkling of a thought of trying a dance class, go and do it. Don't run to your nearest dance studio. It doesn't have to be ballroom, it could be tap, ballet, jazz, whatever you're really interested in. I have some dance students at my studio who started dancing ballroom dance when they were 60s and in their 70s. And I can see a change in them both physically, mentally, and socially, and it's just open worlds to them. So go out there, please try and dance.
I agree with that. And the interesting thing about dance is, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, learn a new skill, keep your brain active, socialize with another human being. It's not every day that you can get that close to another human being and have that much fun. So really it's, don't let dance die, and get out there and do it for yourselves. It's a practical thing. It's not high flying and all the rest of it. Just get out there and dance.
Well said. Well, speaking of getting out and learning something new, that's really what Humanities on the Road is all about. We ask our audiences to learn something new with each of our programs, and certainly we have done that with this one. We want to say a special thank you to Nancy Walker and to Jeff Savage for teaching us so much about the history of social dance, and again, how the more things change, the more they seem to remain the same. What a wonderful lesson we've learned. We also want to thank our studio audience. They have asked some really perceptive questions and helped us to learn even more. Of course, we want to thank the Scranton Cultural Center at the Masonic Temple. What a fabulous venue this is to host any kind of program, and it has been especially wonderful for us at Humanities on the Road, so many thanks to them. And of course, Humanities on the Road is a collaboration between the Pennsylvania Humanities Council and the Pennsylvania Cable Network. And if you'd like some more information on what we're up to, where we're headed next, what we're learning along the way, we really encourage you to check out the website. It is humanitiesontheroad.org. That's where you can get our broadcast schedule, you can find out where we're headed, what we're learning, what we're up to, and there's some really interesting bonus material there. You can continue the conversations that we begin in these programs, so we encourage you to check out humanitiesontheroad.org. With all that said, we want to thank you for joining us for this presentation of May I Have the Pleasure of This Dance with Nancy Walker and Jeff Savage. I'm Tracy Matisak. Thanks for watching. See you next time.